In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make an easy knit blanket on the knitting machine in 3 basic steps. The first step is making the panels, which will begin by casting on with waste yarn, knitting a couple of rows, then cut off the waste yarn and switch to your blanket yarn. Don't forget to reset the row counter and begin knitting the panel. I've made 160 rows for each panel, but if you would like your blanket to be bigger, you can make it more longer. Cut off the yarn and switch back to waste yarn. Knit a few rows with that. And then continue turning until the panel comes off the machine. For this blanket, I've made 4 panels altogether, but again, if you want it bigger, you can make more panels. Step 2 is going to be closing off the top and the bottoms of all the panels. For this, we are going to need a crochet hook. Now, as we can see here, we have the waste yarn and there's the first row of the panel right under. So we're going to look on these stitches between the waste yarn. Find the end of the row, which is right over here, and we're going to count back 23 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 22, and 23. We're going to take the hook and go into that first stitch, the 23rd stitch. And now we'll fold this like this and grab the stitch right after, go under and pull it through the first stitch, just like that. Now we're going to go to the next stitch on this side and pull it through, and now the next stitch on this side and pull it through. And that's how we're going to go back and forth, closing up the top of this panel. So now on this side, pull through, on this side, pull through, and so on. Once we've done the last one, we'll take the tail and pull it through the loop to secure it closed. Now we can remove the waste yarn. Now we'll repeat for the other side of the panel, but if you see that the tail is sticking upward, we're going to need to do one extra step before we finish closing. Take your crochet hook, go into that knob that's in between right before the tail, and then into the knob that has the tail of the waste yarn, and pull the tail through those two. And that just finishes that last stitch over there, and now the tail is facing downward and we've got a whole stitch here. Repeat the process for closing, so counting back 23 right after the tail, 2, 4, 3, and closing it up. Repeat that for all the panels that you have, and once they're all closed up, we can begin connecting them. For the third step, we're going to take a needle and a nice piece of yarn. Make sure it's long enough that you need. Place it through the needle. And grab the first two panels. Best would be to align them tail side to not tail side, and like this it comes out neat. Now when we look closely, we'll see that there are rows of V's. There's rows of V's going upwards, and if we turn it a little bit, we'll find a row of V's that's going downward. So we want the row of V's that's going downward on both panels. Here we go. And now we'll grab into the first V, that stub that's in middle of the V, go through, pull the yarn through almost until the end. And now we'll find from the other panel the first V. There we go. Pull through here. Now we'll tie the tails together. And continue sewing them up. So going again, finding the top of the V's in between from one side and then from the other side. Make sure that you are always continuing on the same row. You can even do 2 at a time, so you go into 1 and then 2 and pull through. 1, 2 and pull through. You can even try multiple ones at a time. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and pull through. Here we can see it's making a nice and almost invisible connection between the panels. So we'll go on continuing to connect these two panels all the way up. When we're reaching the top, make sure that it is nice and pulled all the way through so that it shouldn't scrunch up anywhere like this. So just pull it like that. Make sure it's nice and spacey. Now we're almost finished. Here's the last one. And now we can tie the tail that's over here with the yarn that we just put through. Cut off any extra. And with a crochet hook you can hide in your tails just by going in somewhere and pulling them into the panel. There we go. And now for the other side. Make sure you're going in between the panels so that it goes and hides inside. Like that, and here our first two panels are connected nice and neatly, and we'll continue connecting this way all the panels that we have for the blanket. And now your blanket is all neat and ready to keep you cozy for the winter. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. All the best!